will see and hear firsthand this kind of sound. Let's hear the rest of it.
Hey y'all, it's been like Cowboy. So I'm glad they finally gave this update a name, and by the time I release this video, it'll be out probably within a few days. So this is one I've been waiting on to do for a while. This is a spiral staircase tutorial, and the reason I waited for it is because, in all honesty, I was so excited for the potential of the upper floors and all the things you could do with those. But I think that with this update, I think there's going to be a lot of really cool creative freedom that's going to be allowed to the builders of the community. So I also wanted to present this now rather than later to help y'all with some of your builds. So let's go ahead and get started. So to do this, you're going to need a round blueprint, preferably one that is really good, not the jankiest one, but it doesn't have to be like where mine has no flickering. You can have a little flickering in yours. If you do have one that has a little bit, it's fine because they're going to be layered. So for those of you who have watched my tutorials on how to stack roofs, essentially, we're doing that in this tutorial. This part of the blueprint is probably the toughest part. As you can see, what I'm doing here essentially is I'm putting an angled roof up, and then a half wall, and then another angled roof. I started with a flat roof. Notice these edges right here. See those divots right there with the arrows? We're going to be seeing a lot of this because we want every single roof piece to look identical. Well, let's get started here. So on this third one, I'm doing angled roof. I'm doing a half wall, then an angled roof that I then flatten, and then I'm working my way back down with angled roofs and flattening them to get back to that level. Now I'm going to have to do this a lot, but if you notice how flat that is right next to the other one, that is perfect. So we want to see that pretty much every single time we are doing it. If we see it's a little bit off, like just a shred, we want to do it again or keep doing it. And you'll see what I mean by keep doing it after we get past the 8th one. So in this tutorial, there's 16 sides to the round build, right? After you get past the 8th one, because it usually takes 8 of these techniques to stack to like a half wall height. But we don't want to use the half wall height. We just want to keep going off of each wall identically. See, that's the wrong way to have it. You don't want it to be slightly over like that. We would rather you keep going with this because you want every piece to be perfect. This blueprint took me, who I feel like I'm pretty fast, roughly about 40 minutes to do this. I will also say that once you're done with this blueprint, you won't have to do it again. Kind of like the round blueprint, right? You don't have to keep redoing that blueprint. Look, now watch this. See how these right there, see how they're perfect on top of each other? That's what you want to see throughout this entire blueprint. I know I've been talking through this, but in all honesty, the process is pretty much the same outside of the first one. The very first one you just place a flat roof. Speaking of flat roofs, every other one you're going to notice some difficulty, which you're going to see here in a minute. And that is because sometimes when you place that last roof on that half wall, you'll want to make sure it's flat. I'll show you why right now. Well, in a minute, once I get to that point. So when you place an angled wall or angled roof or a flat roof onto a half wall, it determines the height. That's why this trick works. Because angled roofs sit just a little bit higher on a wall than a flat roof. And we'll see how that looks here in just a moment. So notice I placed that roof at an angle when I placed it on the very tippy top of that half wall. When we get here, it looks like it's a little higher, and that's okay as long as it matches the same path where the same kind of like angle where I showed those little arrows. You just want it to look like that at the end of each wall that you're doing. So like again, you're doing this essentially 16 times all the way around, and each one gets progressively harder. This is what I was talking about. That is perfect. Okay? That is what you're looking for. This next one might not be. So this is another example of that. At night, that is ideal. That's what you want every single time. And I know I keep hammering this because I want you guys to do this perfectly. When you do this and you save this blueprint the one time, the amount of other blueprints you can make from this blueprint is astounding. And we'll be able to get through that. I have one coming up, though. I thought it was the last one. I have one coming up, though, that's not going to be perfect. And I'll show you why that is. And it goes back to whether we place that on the half wall as a flat roof or an angled roof. But the thing is, basically, you're going to be doing the same procedure over and over and over again until you get to the point where you have your roof sitting exactly where you want it to on top of the roof prior. As you keep going to, like, the last wall you do will be like the one that takes the longest, because you're going to have to do this like a bunch of times. So I think the best way to put it is each one you're doing is practice for the next one. This is one too that, like, you know, especially with the new update, you'll be able to borrow this from like your buddies as long as they're roofs that like you can share and you can modify in a nutshell. It is, in transparency, this is going to be a little bit on the tedious side. When you see the results, though, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be looking forward to doing something like this, especially the advanced builders looking for a new challenge. But like you see, I pretty much follow the exact same process over and over again. Basically, I'm flattening it, and every time I raise it up with that half wall, it takes it up a little higher, and a little higher, and a little higher each single time with the roofs. And that's ultimately the goal. We want to raise it up to where they're all equally higher than each other, going all the way around 16 times. So this is an example of where I would have used the flat roof, right? Because that is incorrect. See, it doesn't sit correctly on top of the other roof like we have. So what I'm going to do, instead of doing the angled roof this time, I'm doing a flat roof. And look at the difference here. It's going to be perfect. See that? That's what we're looking for. Just the tiniest little bit of overlap with these roofs. Awesome. And the first 8 are going to be pretty easy. Then the last 8 get a little trickier because it starts to trick you up whether or not how many times you've done it. And then you start getting like, it starts feeling more and more tedious, so you're like looking for shortcuts. Do not take the shortcuts on doing this. Do the same process every single time that for every wall that you're doing out of the 16 that are within the round build. You will thank yourself, and hope maybe me, you'll thank one of us later for this, for taking the time to do this correctly and not skipping any steps. Because again, you'll see all of the blueprints you can do with this, and it's just going to be something that you'll wish that you had done it right the first time. When you have it flat like that, that's when you know it's perfect. And it can be flickering too. My blueprint doesn't flicker because it's off a pixel on each side. That's not going to make a hell of difference for what we're doing. It's when you have gaps, like where it's a little too high or a little too low. You'll see that when you're running up, but it'll also look uneven when you're trying to do like really precision work. But I'm working on the 16th wall now. I skipped ahead a little bit because, I mean, it's basically the identical thing over and over and over again. Now, you'll see, like this right here, that is not perfect. So notice it sticks out a little bit. But if it's a little bit lower, it's probably perfect, because if you were to go up one or two, it would be fine. But because of that margin, that's not perfect. Again, your key checkpoint every time you're doing one of these walls is, as you're getting a little higher, you find that spot where it's actually perfectly flush with the roof right next to it. You do that for every single time where it's perfectly flush, probably flickering for some of you with the wrong blueprint, but where it's, it looks like it's completely like centric with the other one. You'll be fine. So that means a lot of times, like right here, like I'm going back and I'm going lower than the roof again. Notice, see, I'm going lower than the roof prior. And I'm going to speed this up because I know you've seen this a bunch of times, and I know I'm kind of beating into your head. It's essentially the exact same thing every single wall. The only thing that differs is occasionally, or basically every other wall, it'll be a flat roof for your final roof that you put on versus an angled roof. But you'll see that in playing with it. It's as long as you hit those metrics. The first metric is that you need the roofs to be flat right next to each other, either flickering or right there without anywhere you're seeing any kind of shadowing from an edge. And then when you see underneath the roofs where they're all perfect, like where they all have that, where it's just indented just slightly. And that's an example again of what I was talking about. Flush like that is what you are looking for. Flickering or not flickering is fine. All right. So as you will see here, because I've done this 16 times, I'm not going to wait for it to be flat. I already know what to look for. And I'll be on my last roof here now, and we will have our initial blueprint, at least the roof portion of this, done. And I promise you, after this, it gets way easier. The rest of this tutorial, after we get this part done, is you get to do all of the cool blueprints, and you get to get really creative with it too. I came up with about 4 or 5 different ideas for this, but I'm sure that you out in the community will be able to do a lot more than what even I show. Another thing you can do here too is just walk it down like that. Just drop that flat roof, angle that up, and then just kind of walk it down. You want to make it nice and clean like that, you can do that too. But look, that is what we're looking for. So if you take nothing else from this, that is what you're looking for when you do that, is just that slight clipping from the roof. And this is what you can get from that. And we're going to make that blueprint right now. So we did all this work. And now what we're doing is I'm just angling up all these roofs. And with the new relaxed building, or by the way, I'm really happy they finally gave that a name. The Camp Revamp, I guess, is the name for it. That's awesome. I'll take it. Whatever. Yay marketing. But it's essentially the same thing, right? So if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that whether it be a roof, a wall, a set of stairs, you have to have some kind of an anchor point. Otherwise, the roofs, when you blueprint this, will try and all snap together and it'll look like some kind of jumbled mess. So we're using the snapping point as these walls. But that comes to be beneficial in other ways too. As you will see, it's not just because of we have to. We want to do this with the walls. And as you see, blueprint, it places just fine. Now, if you planned on using these roofs as like a spiral staircase, that's fine. Because you can actually, you don't have to make them this big. Meaning the circumference. So we're going to go ahead and flatten them just for perspective purposes. So you can see how smooth the walk is up. And we know that based on you guys watching about 8 minutes of me doing it, how perfect each one of these are. If you just follow the procedures that I showed you, they will be perfect. But look, I mean, there's no real hesitation there. You do get a touch of it once you use regular upper floors, but that's just because they're just slightly different. They're at a different level, just slightly, but it's still fairly clean. So what I'm doing here now, just for context, and remember I said you don't have to have the roofs to be that far spread out because I don't think anybody's making camp that big for a set of spiral staircases. Is I'm just attaching another series of roofs going inward. And then once I'm done with that, if I can get them all to snap correctly, it can be a little pain, is then from there I can just go ahead and remove these other roofs here. And now I've reduced the circumference of my staircase. Now, I could also use those walls and then catwalk off of each walls like maybe a quarter length or a half length to actually narrow it to something a little bit more precise. And you'll see evidence of that from some of the other blueprints we do coming up. But right here, notice I got that to be pretty close. And I could get it to be closer too. And that's kind of what I did just to kind of throw it in there for context. But we're going to see some other cool things like the upper floors right now. All right, so remember, I said as long as we have the other blueprint, we're in good shape. So I'm removing all of the roofs now. And we're going to go ahead and do this with other upper floors. This time, instead of using catwalks, I'm just going to use upper floors. I could have used catwalks for this, but I'm basically taking the upper floor, moving it up one, and I'm making sure that the pattern on the upper floor follows the same as the one before it. But I mean, look how, like, you did the hard part already. Look how easy this is. The only thing that's a pain right now is that stupid, where you have to be within line of sight. Hopefully they fix that. So I'll just stand there. And I'll just spin that guy around. And I'll move the next floor up. And then the next one, and I'll just keep following that trajectory, right? Like making sure that I don't care so much about the like half floor, but that full floor is going to follow the exact same, wood grain, so to speak, as the one previously. So that way, if I decide to use some kind of floor covering, if I want to use tile or something like that, it's going to line up real nice. And I'm just following that same methodology all the way up. Now, one thing you're probably asking yourself, you're like, Moon, this is really cool and all, but what if I want to go higher than what you're doing right now? Maybe I want to go up higher than, 16 walls, or 16 roofs, what we did earlier. The other cool thing about this is not only can you blueprint what we're doing right now, and we will blueprint it, but there is a way you can go even higher. You can take this blueprint and snap it to itself and just keep going up. And I'll show you how to do that too. And that works as well with if you want to do the roof or we're going to do catwalks in a little bit. We're going to do stair posts in a little bit. Well, stair posts, there's actually a limit to how high you can go because of the stair posts themselves. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'll illustrate that. But you can do maybe a half staircase going up to another level with those, just because the stair posts end up getting in their own way because they're kind of tall. But with the catwalk specifically, you'll see how we can extend that up if you want to go say 4 or 5 wall lengths higher. Now, of course, it's not going to let me place that only because my body's in the way. Just kind of a pain. Again, you have to be within view of it right now, but then also don't be in the way of it. So annoying. All right, now I'm out of the way, and we finally get this last one up. Make sure it matches that same pattern going up. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attach all the walls to this. Because I kind of like how narrow it is. You can go, again, you can go like a little bit more narrow, or you can go a little bit wider. Dealer's choice there. But for me, I thought that this was a good look. And it'll work well for the context of what we're doing for this tutorial. Essentially, we're attaching these walls to this so we can blueprint it without the floors going all over the place. If you tried to blueprint just those stairs right now, and then you tried to place it, all of those like upper floors would try and snap to each other. And so it would look like some kind of Picasso mess up in the sky. It would look really obnoxious, and you would be very sad, because then you'd have done the work for nothing. So from here, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I blueprinted everything you saw there, the walls and the upper floors, just so that way I can make sure I place it. I don't delete the work I did before I check the blueprint itself, because the last thing I want to do is do all of that work and then not have that blueprint to show for it. So I'm going to snap this, or, place it. And yeah, just like the other one. That is beautiful. And then again, you can go back and you can change the floor to, the floor pattern to whatever you want it to be. For this case, I used the concrete. And then you could keep the walls on too, and keep those as railings or something if you so chose to. But for what I'm about to do, this is going to show you how we would, if I wanted to extend this out. So that top floor, right? I'm going to remove, I added another floor coming out, and then I removed the one that was in sequence, right? And when I do that, what that means is the other one is going to snap, as long as I'm careful, it's going to snap in the exact same spot that I had that one. Look at that. Because I used that one as a placeholder. Otherwise, it wouldn't have a place to snap to, and it wouldn't go where it needed to go. So I basically just left a placeholder, removed the next one in line, and then added a new next one in line, air quotes. And so you can go up higher with this. For something like this, you could look at it for, like, say, a tree house or something. And here's something else you can do with it too. This won't take very long. If you want the wood grain to fall in the right place, though, it's just going to take a lot of patience just to get them to place correctly. You can use that same process to use these quarter floors. And you could even blueprint this too, even though I don't demonstrate blueprinting it. You can use the stairs posts and attach them to these. And then you could keep this as a blueprint if you wanted. And you could probably narrow this out too. But I can use the quarter floors or the half floor. Really anything that'll snap to it. As long as something will snap to it, I can blueprint it, right? So the upper floors, the quarter floors work great for that. Now we're going to get to catwalks. I'm really excited about this one. Because I do love a good catwalk spiral staircase. So this time I'm going to remove the the half walls. I don't have to do it this way. I could have removed the floors and done and left the walls there, and I could have used catwalks off of that. Neither here nor there. I'm going to do it off the floors so you guys can see it. So we still have our beautiful floor staircase, right? And what we're going to do is I'm now going to add catwalk to each one of those floors. I like using these Fort Fortress ones because they only cost one budget at the making of this video. So they don't have the same budget implications as, like, say, using an alien catwalk or a shelter catwalk. So these are a nice cheaper method to, and plus I think there's also that natural wood look too that I like as well. So again, I'm adding one of the quarter length catwalks to each single wooden upper floor that we see. And once we do this, we're going to do something a little bit different than we have for the prior blueprints. We're going to destroy each one of these catwalks by shooting an arrow in the air and not hitting a single one of them. Damn it. All right, yeah. So we're going to destroy them now. I love my bow build, but sometimes when I'm building, I'm secretly don't, and I secretly like I'm jealous of everybody else's build but mine. But I also do enjoy the bow. But Jesus, the bow build. That's a tongue twister. I got to be really careful. Sorry, kids. Okay, so yeah, as you see, I'm destroying all of those catwalks. There's a reason for that too. You'll see that here momentarily. What I'm going to do is I'm now adding another catwalk to each one. The reason I destroyed them, so this is part of the physics of the game, even with the new update. If I didn't destroy those and then I removed the initial catwalk, the other catwalk's going to disappear. It's not going to stay where it's going to assume that they're attached because we snapped them together. We didn't free place them. So we need to break that connection. We can still connect it, but we want it to be able to be removed in order to make this blueprint work. Cool. Now that we have those catwalks in place, we're going to now delete the destroyed ones. And in doing this, we're basically now separating out our blueprint away from our upper floors, or what will be our blueprint, our stairs. Right now, we're separating from the upper floors. Now you're like, Moon, this catwalk staircase looks really stupid. I would agree with you right now. It might not though if you wanted it around, like say a silo or a tree or something that was pretty symmetrically round. They might look okay, but it would not be my ideal right now. So what we're doing is I'm adding another catwalk to that catwalk. And this is, again, just like with the other things, the other blueprints, you need to have at least like a buddy system. Each one has to be snapped to another one in order to blueprint it successfully. If not, when you place that blueprint, they're all going to try and snap together. So as long as they're in their buddy system, they should be good to go. And now that we have them all snapped together, we should be able to blueprint these in a minute. Although I noticed when I was making this video that I forgot one down there, so I end up having to fix that. But you'll see that. That's the nice thing about doing these blueprints. Like if you go through and you're having to do each one, like what you're seeing here, you'll see where your miss is at. So I get all the way down and I'm like, wait a second. Moon, I thought you were like a revered builder here. You wouldn't make a mistake like that, would you, Moonlight Cowboy? No, I wouldn't. No, I'm amazing. I would never do that. So yeah, there's that. So once I get that in place and I put that catwalk back and stop panicking at myself, we'll redo this blueprint here. I gotta destroy this one first, of course, just like with the other ones. I don't want to miss that step. And then I can get rid of that. There we go. Now I may blueprint my own creation here without screwing it up for the masses. And I'll do it faster too, because I figure at this point you guys know how to blueprint something. If not, I mean, I'm sure there's a video out there for how to blueprint something. I don't think I have one. Now that I think about it, I don't think I have one. No, maybe I do. I think maybe like my beginner tutorial. No, I don't know. Anyways, figure out how to blueprint something before watching this. Okay, let's just get there. Essentially. All right, so now, look, I have this catwalk blueprint. And yeah, I mean, that's a good placeholder for what we're going to do next. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to add what would be a 90-degree or, like an angled catwalk on like a shelter catwalk or an alien catwalk. It would look a little bit different, but you can tell it's an angled one. I just want to make sure that the angle is going in the same direction on each one. So I got to kind of rotate some of these out a little bit to make sure they're going the right way. And that's fine. I mean, it's no biggie. We can do that. I mean, like I'm doing most of this in more or less real time. So these blueprints, as you see, don't take more than 5 minutes for you really to do. 5 to 10, other than that first one. That first one's a beast, right? So now I'm blueprinting this entire bad boy, just so I have it. And you can, you don't have to save every blueprint that you saw here, because as long as you've got like one or two of them, you can go back and create these all over again. So now I drop this blueprint. There we go. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. Because I did those 90-degree angled, because I want to flip those catwalks going the other way on this. If you like it that way, you can absolutely do that too, by the way. Don't let me knock that. I think it is kind of a cool look having the angled on there. But what I'm going to do is I'm just adding... Whoop, 1, 2, and just make sure you hit all of the catwalks, as you'll see in a minute. Like I missed several. Just make sure you go back and you make sure they're all done. There we go, like so. Now, because these are destroyed, I have a really cool method for getting rid of like the excess catwalks that I don't want. And it's really easy. I just go back to the other ones that were the original blueprint ones, and I just remove those. Yeah, like that. Boom. And that will get rid of everything out of the way. It's like peeling an egg, right? If you like hard-boiled eggs. So this is the final result. You don't have them going sideways, you have them going the right way. And then from here we can add our brother, sister, neighbor, catwalk, whatever we want to call it. I still haven't like come up with like a name that I'm calling it every single time. So if you find that confusing, just write me more hate in my comments. Yeah, I don't, sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm feeling really good about myself. So, like, it does help keep me grounded when I hear, like, like really negative comments about how much I suck and my mother sucks. So, make sure you keep those going too. Like, I like a good, like, 1 to 25 or 1 to 30 ratio. So that way I don't get too, like, my head doesn't get so big that I can't go out of my house and go to work. So from here, I'm just, I'm blueprinting everything that you see here, essentially. And then when we place this, I'm going to show you something cool with this that we can do very similarly to what we did with the upper floors. Just, we have to do it a slightly different way with these catwalks. Creating a lot of blueprints here, huh? Alright, so now we have this. We know it's pretty walkable, like boom, no problem, because we did the first blueprint perfect, right? Again, that's why that's really important. Now, this is going to be a little weird. I'm going to destroy... This is to make it bigger, by the way, if you want it to be taller, excuse me. I'm going to destroy that one catwalk at the very top. And then I'm going to add another catwalk like that, going back towards the stairs. See what I did there? And now, very similarly to what we did with the upper floors, just have to put it on a little carefully. Look. And I can just remove that catwalk, and now I have an even taller spiral staircase I can go up. So for a small tree, or like somebody who's trying to make a tower, or who knows what, right? That like creative. I can show you how to do the things. I can't make some of the things that y'all make, because some of you out in the community are like really insane with your builds. But yeah, perfect spiral, looks great. Now, to a lesser degree, we can do this with these catwalks. And so you're like, well, Moon, you did some really cool things. This is by the way, this is my imagination. I imagine like the world out there is like, Oh, Moon, you do some crazy, incredible things. Wow. When in reality, like, oh, okay, this is Fallout. Yeah, no, that's it's aight. But you're probably like, well, why can I only go up halfway with these stairs? And I'm going to show you. If you can't tell already, those stair posts are a lot taller. So if I try and do a spiral staircase going up, say an entire floor and a half, well, they're going to get in their own way, and you won't be able to walk up them, right? And I'm just going to finish this thing out for funsies. And yeah, so, I mean, it's kind of cool. I guess if I use different stair posts and different catwalks, like maybe that would be kind of a cool, like, tower feature maybe. But, like, for what we're trying to do, this ain't gonna work. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably remove some of these here in a moment. But you can see they're all perfect. They're all perfectly aligned because they're following the same methodology as everything else we've done. So, for now, what we're going to do is we're going to start removing some of the excess stairs posts and some of the catwalks, because we are not going to need all of those things. It's easy to do, like, as long as you keep the ones you want to keep, like, don't remove all of them, obviously. But, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of starting to gauge how far down I want to go, right, with this thing. And I'm going to go ahead and re-add some, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it up to the first one, basically. You could do it however you want. It doesn't have to be this many or this few. Just don't get them to where they're starting to overlap, because then you'll just never walk up there, right? Yeah, and that's about perfect. So we're going to go ahead and start removing, like, the excess stuff, like the catwalks now. And these are going to have the same walkability, except much, much thinner than the other ones. So I don't recommend using, like, a regular stair post on this. It just wouldn't make sense, like the one that you can get in-game. This is more for, like, the Atom Shop ones, because they all seem to have thicker base / top to them. And yeah, so like I have this wooden one here. I'm going to sub that out real quick and show you how it's done with the other ones, or how it looks. This one is probably my least favorite out of the grouping. Maybe second least. I think my favorite is probably going to be the Enclave ones. But you can see right here, I can do the same thing with these the pillars, essentially. And what I would do too, if I wanted to blueprint this, I would just attach columns to each one, and I'd blueprint both of them at the kind of the same, like, combined. Again, just like with the buddy system on the other blueprints, I'd just blueprint them all. I'm not going to do that for here, because I think my hope is, even though I did a poor job of actually explaining like how to blueprint something, I'm hoping that y'all know how to blueprint, if you're watching my tutorials at least, because I know that most of my stuff is more on the advanced side. But yeah, that could look cool for even not as stairs. I mean, that could look cool for something. But anyways, yeah, my favorite one is actually going to be the Enclave stair post, for obvious reasons. A, they're darker, but also they have a wider footprint, believe it or not. So they actually work, to me, the best as actual stairs. And also, when you go into the ground with them, like we're about to right now, I'm going to remove the pillars. It looks a little bit more natural, because just the way that they're designed to do that. So like right now, I'm going to add some of the Enclave ones on the bottom as like supports. And I think this should get you up to a little over a full wall height. More like almost full and a half wall. And you could take some off of the blueprint if you needed to. Yeah, there we go. See, walkability is just fine on that, and you can use that as a stair post too. All right, so there's other possibilities with this as well. I showed you like what, 4 or 5 or so. I want to show you real quick what that actually looks like in practice. So we're gonna just take one of them, and I'm gonna show you like why I did this tutorial in the first place. My hope is Aussie Kitty Cat is watching this. I've been picking on her because I really want to see her amazing tree houses with the new update. And having these as stairs leading up to a treehouse, I know would be just divine for somebody who's a treehouse builder, or if you're a clean builder and you're looking for a spiral staircase inside of a camp. Like, there's just so many different possibilities with this for a different range of builders. So, anyways, yeah, you could just like basically place it inside of a tree, walk up it. Nothing but net. You can just get up there, and now you have a way of a really cool design choice to getting up to like making a tree house. And yeah, so those are my tutorials, or my big tutorial on how to do all these catwalks. I hope that you all find and share any other cool creative ideas you can do with this technique. I know the upfront process to getting this done is a little tedious, right? But look how worth it is. I did I just popped some things in here to give you all some ideas of what I was thinking, whether it be around trees or on pre-existing structures or items that are around. I really feel like there's a lot of possibility here. And there are those I truly believe out there that are looking for like a pixel perfect way to do staircases so that way everything looks even all the way across. Because even though we can free place things now, that doesn't mean we're very good at doing it, because we're probably going to make mistakes because we're human and it's a controller. Anyhow, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch it. Good luck with the new update. I'm really excited to see what y'all come up with. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed, and have a great day.